Hi, this is Joseph. Today we're going to review the trade that I executed with the trade copier EA. It is November 22nd. It's the day before Thanksgiving here in the United States. Tomorrow is a bank holiday. And the main reason I'm making this video is to answer a question that I get pretty often right around the holidays. And the question is, do I trade around the holidays? I do have it on my website that I do not. It is in print on the website. I think in the FAQ section that I don't trade during bank holidays, but the last couple of years I have been trading on the holidays and around the holidays. And the markets have been pretty good to us lately. So I'm going to take advantage of it when I see an opportunity. And I kind of suspected that today might provide an opportunity like this. This was a pretty good move. This is a 70-point move, 70 pips. So I'll walk you through this trade. This was on the pound dollar. This is the 1 hour time frame, but I'll break it down for you so you can see what it is that I'm doing, how I trade, and then you can take a look at the size of the stop loss and the size of the profit target. Now, before I move on, I want to remind you that not all trades are going to produce 70 pips. I'm not saying that. That's not the purpose of this video. It's just to show you that in some cases, some of these trades are going to be pretty decent moves. The reason that I was able to calculate the 70 pip move, where you can see right here, I'm using it's just like a range expansion tool. It's taking the Fibonacci tool and I not using it as a Fibonacci tool. I'm using it to calculate the distance based on a high and a low of a particular range. So we'll go ahead and start here on the 1 hour time frame because I selected this one. Now the euro did move, so you might be wondering with the trade copier, how many trades will I have open at the same time? As often as I see trades, sometimes one currency will set up pretty close to about the same time that another currency pair will set up a trade. So let's say, for example, with the euro dollar, it might set up at about the same time that the pound dollar does, but it doesn't do that every day. I mean, there are some days that we've seen it. You've probably seen it. The pound might be moving lower and the euro might be moving higher. So it really depends on the setup. But generally, I'm going to execute one trade with the trade copier. So you really don't have to worry about that. So when you set up the lot size, because you do control the lot size with the trade copier, when you set that up, you should know that generally there's going to be one trade at a time. I'm not going to take a second trade until the first trade is closed. Most of the trades are going to be pretty decent trades. I've changed and refined a lot of my trading strategies over the years. If you look at some of the videos on the YouTube channel, you'll see that in the past I've used point and figure. I don't rely on point and figure all that much anymore. I do have my own techniques that I've developed, back when I first started trading back in 2000, 2001, and 2002. And I do execute those trades, and they're sort of small intraday sort of scalps, anywhere from 15 to 20 pips. But the bigger moves are the ones that I'm actually calculating and trying to execute and find that setup so that I can earn 40, 50, 60, 70 pips. It really depends on the opportunity. So you can see there was one last week. There was one right here today. Wednesday, sometimes Monday, sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Fridays, we see bigger moves. And that's what I'm looking for. And the primary reason that I'm looking for bigger, more explosive opportunities like this is that it helps build up my trading account relatively fast. And if you look at the risk to the amount of reward on the trade, it's very often three times my risk. My reward is very often three times my risk, sometimes five and even 10 times my risk. So let's go ahead and look at the details on this trade. Again, I just want you to see the setup here and what I was trading to. That's Friday's close right there. This green bar that's moving right through that support level right there. That's last week's closing price. And you can see we really haven't moved too far away from the high from the middle of last week right here. And we kind of created this box. I was watching this on Tuesday when it set up, on Wednesday when it set up, and then I looked for my trade. Most of the trades are going to be during the New York session. I very rarely trade during the Asian session. I don't trade the London session anymore. I'm just trading the New York session. So this is what I'm looking for, is bigger opportunities just like this. And again, like I said, I can use a really small stop and get, I can put quite a bit of size on a trade like this. Some people refer to it as a big bet size, which it certainly is. But let's go ahead and break it down. So I'm going to go down to a 15-minute chart, and you can see what I was doing here. Here, right at the beginning of the New York session. So this is a block of time. Everybody's using different times. The ICT guy will use a a time frame that's a little bit different than this. Other people are using time frames that are similar to what I'm using. But generally, what we're doing is we're trying to find an opportunity during either the Asian, London, or New York, where there's going to be a larger uh, number of opportunities. Usually, it doesn't guarantee anything. It's just that's what I'm looking for. And the other reason that I'm highlighting these trading sessions, even though I don't trade them, here's the Asian, here's the London, here's the New York. I want to see exactly what happened during the Asian and the London session. That helps me develop a sense of direction and where I could expect a price to go down. So when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, we sit here for the most of the week, we're up here at the highs, and at some point, could be on Wednesday, and Wednesday we see it quite a bit. We see a big uh, explosive move like this. So I expected it was probably going to happen during the New York session, based on the way the London session looked, and especially where the way the Asian session looked. So again, last 2 days, we're just kind of sitting up here in this range of consolidation, big rectangular shape structure, and I'm waiting for the breakout. So here on this 15-minute bar, you can see I refer to this bar right here as a clamp down bar. Some people call it a death bar, death candle. Everybody's got their own ways of looking at it. There was a little bit of an opportunity up here at the highs, you can see with these wicks, but I'm specifically looking for an opportunity, especially if there's news. And the reason I'm bringing up all these different points, they're very important points because they're also questions that people have. So what happens with the news? Do I get into the trade before the news? Do I wait until after the news? Generally, I would prefer to wait until after the news. And today we had economic data at 8:30, and then we had it at 10 o'clock. So it was going to provide, I felt, a catalyst. That was probably going to be an opportunity to generate a big move like this. But I also had to move into this trade pretty carefully. So I timed my trade so that way I knew what was going to happen with the first wave of economic data, and that the second wave of economic data was likely to not sort of offset my position. And that's exactly what happened here. It's not going to work like that every single time. Sometimes we just get economic data at 8:30 New York time. But generally, I'm not jumping in the split second that the news is released anyway. I don't do that. I don't listen or look for the numbers and then jump in 2 seconds later. I'm always waiting about at least 5 minutes after economic data is released. Sometimes it could be 15 minutes. So this is a 15-minute bar. You can see that I've got my clamp down bar right here. It closes below all of this volume right up here from the London, and then during that gap time between the sessions. And here's my signal for the most part. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Sometimes I'll switch. The reason I say for the most part is that sometimes I'll do it on a 15-minute chart if it looks right. Sometimes it looks perfect on a 5-minute chart. It really depends on the timing and the setup and if there's any news on that particular day. So the first thing to keep in mind is that I'm very, very cautious. I'm very, very safe when I trade around the news. I'm not reckless. I don't leave, open-ended, no stop loss kind of thing where I'm going to get in the wrong direction just because I'm trying to pick a direction based on the numbers. I don't do that. It's got to be a technical setup. I'm looking for the technical setup, but I'm waiting for the news, to be released before I make a decision like that, because it's generally the reaction with the news that's creating this opportunity. So if we go down to a smaller time frame like the 5-minute, I'll go ahead and pull this into view. You can see there is that bar right there. It does the same thing on the 5-minute bar as well. It kind of clamps down and locks in all of that volume right over here and traps all that volume. There's no wicks on the bottom side of it. It closes strong. It closes right at the lows. That's my signal. I wait for a slight pullback. There's where I get in. In some cases, I'm fighting for price to get a better fill. So all I've got to do is wait for a pullback. Now, if there was no news associated to this, then I would think that there probably wasn't going to be any sense of urgency to get into the trade, and it may be a deeper pullback. I notice that happens quite a bit when there really isn't any news, but I still get a strong signal like this. I'll wait, and sometimes we'll get a deeper pullback. In this case, I knew I had to make my decision quickly. This was a reaction with the news, and we had more news later, so off we go. I get into the trade on the pullback. My stop loss is perhaps 1 or 2 bars. In this case, it was going to be 2 bars right there above that high. You can see right there that this is a relatively small stop. And I knew exactly what my target was. It was going to be, I'll go back to the 1 hour chart. and you can see it right here. If we're going to be bringing all of this, if this whole thing is going to unwind from the start of the week, you can see how we closed on Friday right there at that green line, and then on the open, it just kind of gaps down and immediately fills that gap and starts to make its way all the way back up to the highs till Tuesday. If we're going to unwind all of this and they're going to go after all this money here, that was my target. I also had, and I used that range expansion, and here it kind of provided a little opportunity in the that tool right there at that number. I mean, this was so perfect. It was kind of weird. It made me really uncomfortable about how it stopped like that, but I had to take profits. I wasn't going to hold on to it. This was my target, this range right here, either that level or it was going to be that line right there, which was 24.51 with an entry of 25.20. So that was a perfect trade right there. And, on a move like that, I've got to pay attention. 1 hour candle, if it closes above that support, then it's possible, we were thinking that that move's done and it could turn around and reverse and go right back up again. So that's exactly what it did. I stayed out of it. I didn't trade this move right back up. A 70 pip move straight down. I'm looking for trades like this all throughout the week. It doesn't matter what currency pair I'm trading. I'm looking for opportunities just like this. Again, the euro did move, but I felt that this was the better setup because I could see it. I was timing it. I was measuring it. I had these numbers right here before, I went to sleep. And then when I came to work on Wednesday here today, everything held and everything was still intact. I mean, everything that I expected was still exactly as I figured it would play out if I was right in the direction. And again, I'm not guessing. This is basically like a market maker template for the week. And today turned out really, really well. So I am trading around the news. I will trade. I'm also watching on Thanksgiving. I'm also watching the markets. I don't expect that there's going to be anything too important, taking place. I don't think there's going to be any big moves. There could be, but I've got my computers on. I've got my charts on. I will be watching during the typical New York session, even though tomorrow is a bank holiday here in the United States. I will be watching. And then, of course, I'll be trading on Friday as well. And then I'll be doing the same thing right around Christmas and the New Year's holiday as well. I will be trading right around the holidays. And again, I get that question because people are thinking, should I wait to buy his trade copier until after the first of the year, or should I buy it now? If he's not going to trade, then I won't buy it. Some people just kind of shut down their business. Other companies that provide services like mine, they shut down their business from now until about the first of the year. I don't. I'll be trading right through. So if you're looking to get some trades during the holidays, you can go ahead and use my trade copier. Right now, I have a special promotion until the end of the year, I'm sorry, until the end of the month, this month of November. I'm sorry. The holiday special is good until the end of this month, until November 30th. So I will be trading right around the holidays. I expect that next week we'll probably see some pretty big moves like this. I mean, I'm not going to get into too much detail until Monday, but it does look like the way that things are moving and the way that things are sort of contained right here with a lot of these markets, a lot of these charts that I'm looking at on the 1 hour time frame. It looks like we're probably going to get some pretty good moves next week, right after Thanksgiving. So again, thank you very much for the questions. I appreciate it. Those of you who are using my trade copier, this was a hell of a move. I mean, this was a really good trade, perfectly executed. I mean, everything lined up exactly as I mentioned in last night's video. So again, the special promotion is until November 30th. I am trading around the holidays, through the holidays. And as far as trading around the news, I always wait until after the news. I mean, there's no point in getting into a trade unless it's a perfect setup and we've got the first wave of news like I did today. And then the second news usually isn't going to offset that. You can usually tell if it's going to be a move like this.